Just you.
Well, let's test it. John, say something.
I am saying things. I am talking at much length.
No, it doesn't sound that muffled.
How
am I coming through?
Probably the best way. You're coming all right. It's everyone else is okay. It's just I noticed there's a little bit of fuzziness on John. To me.
I've noticed the signal strength for Discord has gone up and down like a yo-yo while we've been talking. So.
Well, it could be worse. When I logged on this morning to work and did my normal thing, Discord and a whole bunch of other things weren't working. Apparently, Cloudflare was having some sort of problems.
Well, hopefully.
Oh yeah, I got told about that.
Yeah, there have been some connectivity issues in this area too today, so with any luck, we should be all right. So, in order to check that, everybody is signed into Foundry, all right, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
I probably really should log on.
Yeah. That might help a little bit, yeah.
Nah, it totally doesn't.
Those who want to be on Video Ninja are attached to Video Ninja, all right, and are getting the rumble of background. Well, rumble. I think that was Shaun trying to say something then, but I didn't quite catch it. Nope. Okay.
I'm speaking to other people.
Righty-ho. All right, then. Let's deafen you with the theme song.
Yeah, we need to tone down that theme song a little bit. It's too loud.
Well then, folks, thank you very much for coming along, and welcome to another episode of, or rather another session of another episode of Star Trek Adventures with the crew of the USS Navis. So, this will be part 2 of episode, excuse me, episode 8, The Prize. So, if we cast our minds back to last time we were here, you should remember that the Navis was dispatched to assist with an archeological expedition on the planet of Epsilon Alpha 3. Therereupon, the archaeological expedition had apparently detected a power source beneath or inside rather, a ruin, and sent a message to Starfleet requesting some help because other parties were turning up and expressing their interest in what was going on. When you guys eventually landed under the command of Admiral Barna Stoker rather than Captain Adriana Ducasse, you discovered that an Orion ship was in orbit around Epsilon Alpha 3. And indeed, when you made planetfall... Boo hiss. Was that boo hiss for the Orions or boo hiss for Stoker? Column A, column B?
Yeah.
So yes, when you managed to make planetfall, land the shuttlecraft because the archaeological expedition needed supplies as well as backup. When you touched down, you found that the head of the archaeological expedition, this fellow here, Commander Tavek, was having a, in quotes, conversation with a trio of rather rough-looking Orion fellows. The leader of which stated that since this is not technically in Federation space, the Federation and Starfleet have no actual claim to what's here on the planet, so the Orions are staking their claim now. The Orions then transported back to their ship. However, a member of the Navis crew, Mr. Edwards, had the foresight at least to tap into Orion communications, so that hopefully, if the Orions do get up to something, you guys will have a little communications tap on whatever they might be doing. In the meantime, whilst your crew beamed down, you discovered that, for the most part, the expedition is yet to actually break through to the bunker that this power source seems to be emanating from. They needed specialist equipment, which you guys have brought with you, namely a phaser drill, which is basically a mining tool, but using, obviously, phaser technology to try and shoot its way, carve its way through. But it needed special modifications, so that's why another reason you guys are here, bringing along your chief engineer, your chief science officer, your ops officer, Andrews, being not only the second in command, but also with tactical and security expertise, was encouraged to come down. Obviously, your chief Helm officer was asked to pilot the shuttle because of his awesome piloting skills, and he didn't crash this time. So it looks like it's just a thing with runabouts. We'll need to break that that habit.
One specific runabout.
One specific runabout. Gives her character. The odd dent and nick here and there proves she's been places. Anyhow.
She was a mighty ship in her day, and Keval has put dents in her.
So yes, you guys have made some social interactions with the archaeological expedition here. They are part Starfleet, part civilian. Interestingly enough, one of the Starfleet ensigns is actually a cousin of Alex's character, Jonathan Edwards. Her name is Layla Edwards. Apparently she followed him out of the family mercantile business, but instead of going out into civilian science, she chose to join Starfleet science. Now, some ways into your assisting with keeping up the various pieces of technology, the most crucial of which in the archaeological expedition is their holo projectors. There are natives on this planet who are a basically Stone Age / Bronze Age level of technology, reptilian peoples. They're kept away from the main site by mostly superstition, but also by holo projectors that try and not only mask the presence of the camp here, but also helps give off the sound of spooky wailing that the trees have been known to, that the trees in this area have been known to give off. The natives believe that the spirits of their ancestors reside in this area, so they tend to keep away from it. As such, the holo projectors are there to try and encourage them to keep away. So, the other thing worth note, of course, is that Commander Andrews discovered that a member of the civilian science team, Dr. McCall, was being blackmailed by the Orions. They had apparently abducted her husband and were demanding that in return for his safety, she would keep them apprised of what is going on within the camp. Andrews has since discovered this, and now they have the reason for why the Orions were here within such short order after the science team here discovered the bunker where the power source was coming from. But just as that little problem had been sorted out, the away team received a message from orbit as Commander Stoker told the away team that a Ferengi vessel had just pulled into orbit above the planet, and they launched a shuttle. And so, here we are, back on the surface. So,
do we
go
know,
on.
Sorry, the intelligence liaison either for the fleet or for Stoker?
The intelligence agent. In what respect?
Well, basically, do either of them have a official liaison, like official intelligence liaison to the fleet, or
You don't
do we have
know.
a contact number? That's basically.
When Admiral Stoker gave everybody their mission briefing in the conference room of them while on board the Navis before you guys arrived, Commander Andrews made no bones about the fact that basically Stoker invited Councillor Tannenbaum, cue the boos and hisses from off-screen. Stoker was the one that brought Tannenbaum in, and of course Tannenbaum ended up being up to a lot of no good.
Yeah, just thinking that ordinarily, I think that like syndicate operations, particularly when they try to get the tendrils into Starfleet officers, is usually an intelligence matter.
Ooh. So you're wondering if maybe... So what, you're wondering maybe if the Orion Syndicate have got their claws into Stoker as well and have brought her here?
Or if there is like a proper procedure that we ought to be following in here.
As far as you're aware, not really. Common courtesy dictates that if Starfleet intelligence is putting an operative on a ship, then they at least tell the captain. That's courtesy. Whether or not they actually go through with it is another matter entirely. However, Admiral Stoker seemed genuinely upset with herself that she had also fallen for Tannenbaum's ruse. And Nova kind of confirmed this. Nova tried reading the Admiral and got mostly her brick wall of self-control, but it was no masked emotion that Stoker displayed when the topic of Councillor Tannenbaum came up. So she was definitely, yep, she fooled me, and that's on me. I can only apologise for that. But of course, as Commander Andrews quite rightfully pointed out, you've still got no reason to totally trust Admiral Stoker either. So, before we crack on with the Ferengi, is there anything else anybody else wants to bring up, or any piece of information that I have neglected to bring us up to speed on? Because I'm pretty sure that was everything. Okay. So, the away team, back at the camp, you hear the whine of engines as a obviously Ferengi design shuttle touches down on the shuttle pad right next to your own vehicle. So, I'm giving everybody a chance to move their characters to wherever you want to be in response to this sudden appearance of unexpected guests. Commander Tavik is, of course, going to be present for this, since he was busy on the pad anyway, helping sort out the supplies with Ensign Pakchar. Andrews was bringing Dr. McCall to Commander Tavik's attention because of, obviously, there's a mole in your group and you need to know about it. The archeological digs security officer, Lieutenant Targinch, was being paired with Lieutenant Fazanan for the duration. So if the security boys want to be at the landing, that would make an awful lot of sense.
Yep.
So Targinch is there, Fazanan's there. Let's see, we've got Vibers and Nova hiding on the other side of the shuttle. I like. Lieutenant Pakchar is just going to be there next to the shuttle bay controls.
You get much better scans from behind them.
Yes, indeedly do. Now, at the moment, Natala and... Oh, no, they've gone. Natala and Edwards have moved. Where are they gone to?
Down by Vibers.
By the ship as well, so they make their way over. All right. Okay.
What's the most powerful member of the camp doing? The legendary Ensign Kensen.
Yes, thank you for that. I had almost managed to forget that.
Ensign Kenson, prepare to do some fencing.
Right, you lose a point of momentum for that one.
It's going to be a long night.
How
You
much
went
rank
for the
does
momentum, that's right.
Edward's little cousin have on him?
What was that, Shaun? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
So like that you went for momentum and not adding threat.
Yeah, I thought I'd take your toys away rather than just add to mine. But that's fine. Sorry, John, what was that?
How much rank does Edward's little cousin have on him?
Edward's cousin is just an ensign.
So
Okay,
she does
so
actually have. She does actually outrank him.
Because I'm still
Yeah.
only
I won.
acting.
Yeah.
Everyone has rank over Edwards. That's the reason why there isn't a rank in front of his name.
Oh dear, what a pity. Never mind.
Webby, do you want Andrews to remain with McCall, or do you want to hand McCall over to maybe Bertram and get a bird's eye view on what's going on with the Ferengi? Do you want to hand McCall over to Pakchar?
Yeah, I suppose I should probably be involved in the conversation with the Ferengi.
Or do you want to bring McCall over so that she's at least within distance of being handed over to the security chief? Up to you.
I don't think she's going to run.
No.
So I think I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed with her, and I've let her know this so that she can feel sad.
Hang she's to go to
As
sit
on
on
the
the step of
planet-
shame.
We're on the planet, there's no airlock for you to push her out of.
Yeah, precisely. So I've let her know that she's safe because she can't go out the airlock. So
For now. Although you can stick her in the shuttle and pretend to push her out the airlock. Anyway. Yeah, so I'm just going to move Andrews then.
yeah.
Side by side. All right then, so out of the Ferengi shuttles step two regular-looking Ferengi officers, each sporting a phaser, holstered. But the one at the forefront of the group, bearing rank insignia, is definitely an officer, a ranking officer. And he makes straight towards yourselves. Greetings, Starfleet. I am Damon Storbo, and I am delighted to make your acquaintance. Couldn't help but notice that you might be having a little problem here with Orion scum. And as if on cue, at that particular point, there's the whirring sound of Orion beaming. And sure enough, the three Orions from before, 2 guards and the one bearing the various token trophies from different places, beams down. Thought I detected the stench of Ferengi around here, says the Orion as he strides forward, flanked by his guards. At which point the Ferengi, without missing a beat, spins on the spot to confront the Orions and just jabs a finger out at them. Go on back to your flea market, screen skin scum. Nobody wants your kind here. Now, if you'll excuse me, I was conducting business with these more intelligent and refined individuals. And he then turns his back on the Orions, who just remain standing there, hands on weapons. Now, may I assume, and he's directly staring at Commander Tavik at this, that you are in command of this fine expedition. Commander Tavik just straightens up and goes, I am in co-command of this expedition. Commander Andrews here is first officer aboard the Federation starship that you no doubt noticed was in orbit around the planet, along with yours. Damon Storbo kind of just walks over, gives Andrews a look up and down, and then just turns his attention back to Tavek as he draws in closer. Now,
Oh yes, sexism within the Ferengi. Ah. Oh.
Now. I can see that you're a man with, well, maybe not lobes, but ears for business. I've always admired the Vulcans. Very, very clever people. And I'm counting on that intelligence today. You see, with the Orions here, you're in a bit of a stalemate situation, maybe. Maybe not. But it always helps to have a friend. And I can tell that we would be very good friends. It hasn't escaped anyone's notice that there is a very powerful signal coming from within that bunker. I think together you and I could have the potential for a very profitable partnership. What do you say?
I thank you for the offer. However, should we need further assistance, we have additional Federation vessels within a couple of hours' travel of the situation. Now, if you're formally aware of the capabilities of the Navis, you'll also understand that we are quite capable of continuing operations on our own, but we appreciate the gesture of friendship.
Damon Storbo kind of looks over at Andrews as she's talking and then just goes, the males are doing the talking here, sweetheart, and kind of pats her on the bum.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Now, as I was saying...
Can I put his arm behind his back in an arm lock on that?
Are you sure you want to go ahead and actually physically assault him?
Well, he assaulted me.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the Ferengi respect authority.
The guy's hiding behind the shuttle at this point. They're going, should we get involved? Do we get involved here? Do we let her do her thing? Do we stop an incident? What are we doing? Actually, no, it looks like they're recording everything. Wait, can you just lean over? I need a better shot. I can imagine everyone behind the Ferengi shuttle, at the moment Storbo patted on the bum, everyone went, ooh, mistake.
Actually, rather than arm grappling him, is that I will return by stroking his ear, but then pulling on the lobe.
Ooh.
Because that causes more pain to a
Yes,
Ferengi.
it does. All right, then. So, yeah. That distracts him for all of a moment. At which point he goes, oh, now we're talking. As the pressure is slowly applied. That's the point at which the two soldiers flanking him kind of go to draw their weapons. And Storbo kind of holds his hand back, going, no. The Orions, however, are looking on, and the lead Orion has now got a very big grin cutting across the side of his face. Well, I'm sure we got off on the right footing here, of course. I'm always open to civilized negotiations.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will then release his earlobe.
At which point he backs away to a safe distance, rubbing his ear. Yes, of course. Pardon me for applying cultural norms to this situation. Now, as I was saying, there is the potential for a great deal of profit to be had here, for you and for me. Imagine it, if you will, the kind of devices that could be created using a power source of this sophistication and magnitude, assuming we find something that can be converted to useful means.
imagine the profits we could make. Of course, selling it to all the right people. Not like these Orion scum over here. For you see, if they got hold of it, who knows what hands such technology would fall into? Why, the Klingons? What with your little fracas happening with them at the moment? Or, heavens forfend, the Dominion? We wouldn't want that to happen now, would we? Whereas if we had control of who was being sold to, well, can you imagine what the Federation and the Ferengi could do with such technology, with such power? It would forge in this crucial and uncertain times a new and profitable relationship between the Ferengi and the Federation. It could allow you to create starships with greater power sources, greater weapons. The Federation and the Ferengi together could even perhaps become a force to be reckoned with, that even the Klingons, the Romulans, the Dominion would be wary of toying with. And there at the center of all of this would be you and I, enjoying the profits and the prestige. What say you, friends? Could this be the beginning of a new friendship? A new profitable business venture?
Keval mentions that, yes, he's mentioning the Dominion a lot. It's almost like he's trying to prey on your paranoia.
Which is rather high.
As was stated earlier, this is a Federation colony, or Federation research center. The Federation appreciates the gesture from the Ferengi. However, at this moment in time, we do not believe that we require assistance.
Well, the offer's there on the table anyway. But since you have these reprobates,
He gestures once again dismissively towards the Orion, but does cast them a very hard look.
since these scum are still very much present, as a token of our friendship, we will, of course, remain here in order to provide the means by which we can dissuade these scum from trying to take this most precious find. Especially since, with the soldiers at my disposal, we outnumber the Orions now by quite a margin.
The Orion captain kind of raises an eyebrow at this, and he adjusts his grip on his cradled blaster rifle. We've gotten away from bigger fish than the Ferengi before. What are you gonna do? Throw latinum at us? I meant what I said, commanders. This isn't Federation territory. We have as much of a right to claim a stake to whatever's in that ruin as you do. So I guess, and he looks over at the Ferengi at this, that it comes down to who gets there first. It's been lovely chatting with you all, but we have business to attend to. But if any of you, and he does look at the Starfleet lot at this, if any of you guys consider business partnerships, then my door's always open. And the Orions beam back up.
Well, I do declare the air has got a little bit less stale around without the Orions stinking the place up. Well, my crew and I will be in the shuttle in case you need us. Unless, of course, you'd like to show us around this lovely encampment you have here.
I will get to you guys in just a moment. You seem to be... seeing nobody responds to that, the Ferengi just walk back onto their shuttle. And the door closes. Commander Tavek... Commander Tavek, for a Vulcan, especially where Keval and Andrews are, being right next to him, he almost seems to let out a breath, and then takes a deep one in to try and, obviously, steel himself. He kind of works his jaw a bit and then turns to Andrews. Commander, I am not too proud to say that, as you humans like to express, I am out of my depth. I am a scientist. I came here to study archaeological ruins. This entire situation is well beyond my ken. I defer to your command and better judgment in this regard. I have no experience in such matters. Command of this establishment is now passed to you. I will, of course, remain to liaise with my crew. But in the matter of all of this, I am afraid I do not have the requisite experience.
Andrews will begrudgingly accept oversight of the facility as well.
So, what would you all like to do? Now, there was an awful lot of hushed whispers and scheming and plotting going on behind the Ferengi shuttle. So, were you guys up to anything in particular? Sorry, I talked over you there.
Shaun basically beat me to it.
Uh-huh.
Well, I guess the four of us are working together then to steal data, steal samples.
Well, Ed was just trying to set up what he did with the Orions, which is basically get to piggyback off the Ferengi's communication signals, just so he can listen in on them if need be, so we've got the same kind of heads up as we do with the Orions.
And I also saw notice of a tracker.
Yeah. Survivor wants to add a tracker, and Nova's trying to steal data, so she wants to know where they've been, and where they've
Natala's mainly just making sure they don't all trip over each other.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch the end of what Shaun said. What was that? What was the last bit?
So she's trying to track where they've been and where they spend a lot of their time, so like where they came from.
Oh, okay. And Natala was just there trying to coordinate everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. And Vibers was helping with the tracker?
I was helping Nova, yeah.
And Edwards was going to try and break into their comms. Right.
Basically what he did with the Orions.
Yeah.
I would say Edwards one makes first. If you want a sequence, I'd say Edwards vaguely makes first, because that would be the opening for everyone else.
Okay. I talked over what the last part of what you said, Davis. What did you say?
The idea of the tracker probably overlaps quite a lot with Edwards, 'cause it's one of, if he's trying to get comms out, I'm just trying to make sure that when this disappears, we have an idea where it went.
And the main data point I think that Shaun was talking about is trying to get where they've been previously.
Then also give us an idea, but not as much as a tracker if we could follow something. But...
So you want to break into their comms, but you also maybe want to add a tracker and break into their main computer to find out where they've been.
Yep, steal it.
Okay.
It's quite a big one by the sounds of it.
Alrighty.
Let's see if we can hack everything and not get caught.
Thus Natala's entire purpose being here being, guys, don't ruin it for each other.
Right then, let's see. How best to do this? Individual or all together? Especially if Natala is doing it all together. Okay, I am going to make this an extended task.
Makes sense.
So, what shall I call it? I'll call
Breaking
it
and entering.
Ferengi data heist.
It's a Ferengi crackdown, but fair enough.
Right then, so... go on, sorry, John.
No, just Data Heist was a better name.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
So, let's see. We've got first the communications,
Ferengi job.
then the tracker, then breaking into their actual computer system. 3 separate sets of stuff. Fair amount of work. I'm going to go with work track of 6 for this. Difficulty... You guys are all pretty good at what you do, but I'm going to crank the difficulty up a bit. As such, the magnitude is going to need to be... You've got 3 different things you want to accomplish, so the magnitude is going to be 3. As a result, I might want to put a bit of extra work in, so the work track is going to be 8. And I'm actually going to spend some threat here to actually put the difficulty of that up by 1. Except, I'm actually going to spend 2 to make it even harder, because these guys are the Ferengi are more than likely ultra-paranoid. Not to mention, you're trying to do this while guys, if there's anyone sitting in that shuttle, and anyone's keeping an eye on external sensors, they know that there are 4 people kind of camped out behind their shuttle.
I'm going to put a potato in the exhaust pipe. That being said, that would be a good distraction and way for Andrew to let off some stress.
So I'm going to keep it at a work track of 8. I've upped the difficulty because you're trying to do it surreptitiously whilst looking like you're milling around. But the magnitude is 3, so for every breakthrough is to do with someone else's task. So with that in mind, let's go with the first attempt. So this is going to be Edwards' job at trying to crack their encryption, their communication encryption. So this can be insight and science for you, with a focus on actually nothing much.
Be a focus, no matter how much I try to swing it.
No, none of your focuses apply. However, since Natala is trying to coordinate everybody's efforts, Natala can indeed aid, which is what's...
Feel the momentum.
And yes.
What do you think a reasonable aid role for this is?
Again, insight and science wouldn't be bad for your one, but I don't know. I could make a case for sensor operations. Oh, right.
Oh, well,
I'm the only one that keeps rolling double 20s.
You know, in
He's
other
rolled
games,
2
I've
complications,
Sure,
ladies and
I do
gentlemen.
apologise. Natala, please ignore one.
This is where Natala is going to need to help a little bit, yes.
yeah, well, for me to ignore one, there would need to be a second person assisting you.
It's a group long task, though.
Is it true? Do you think is that sufficient for the parent to pick it up?
Perhaps Keval can see what the guys are doing and kind of act as a further distraction.
Okay, yeah, I'm game for that.
Helplessness.
Look at the dancing Andorian. Hey, guys. Unless
It's a good
Jan...
idea for Keval to keep an eye on them anyway.
Each finds an antenna and just actually snaps it by leaning on it.
Anyway, you were cut off there as to potential focusy.
Was I? Oh, yeah. Yeah, it depends. I could go for a potential focus with sensor operations if Natala's trying to aid by either keeping an eye on sensors or trying to maybe subtly scramble their sensors so they can't quite determine what you're doing.
I think if there's an idea that they may well be looking at their external sensors, then that's absolutely within the realm of what I might be doing.
Okay. If you're alright with that.
Yeah.
So, Keval, you're just keeping an eye out, so this could very much be... Yeah, you've already tagged insight and security, I agree with that. Security protocols as a focus could help with that, so, yeah. 1 dice to assist, which would be the maximum, so... 2 successes so far. So, yeah, just
waiting on you. Yeah.
So you've got 1 success, 3 successes. You need 1 more success. So, have we lost Jan? Nope.
Sorry, that was
Insight and security.
security.
And you can use the Starfleet protocols focus.
Okay.
Oh, passed it. On the money. Now,
So parent figure will eliminate one of the 2 complications.
okay. Which leaves 1 complication. Right. Yeah, I'll hold on to that for now. Right, so that's 1 success. You got that on, so that's 1 breakthrough. So, yeah. So, Edwards takes a little bit, and there's a moment there where Keval makes a motion that he can see one of the Ferengi through the cockpit window is maybe staring at one of the consoles with a worried look, which then he sends a message to Natala, who then quickly uses her tricorder to monkey with the sensor emissions to not make it look so they know you're back there. They just you give like the false sensor reading that you guys are all just there looking over the aft section of the shuttle rather than actually doing something to it. So, Edwards now has a patch into best moose impression. Act casual, lads. And Nova's
smile and wave.
Nova's version of act casual is to do a moose impression. I like. Right, so next up is going to be the tracker.
Yay!
So this is going to be Nova and Vibers with assistance from Natala again, since she's helping with coordination. So who wants to be the primary on this little one?
Is this a tracker?
Well, what's your idea for creating the tracker?
I was just going to steal his comms badge and start sending a signal that we can track.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Short
Wire
range,
the
but we
combat.
can boost it through.
Stick the comm badge on the inside of a panel. Wire it up to a small bit of power. And if it can use the ship as an antenna, great. That'll do.
What was the last part of your sentence? Sorry, Shaun?
Pretty much that, just boost the power so it gets a stronger signal.
So use the... Okay, so, yeah, use the receiver transmitter array and the comm badge. Okay. So, yeah, you've got tinkering technology as a focus, so that would make sense. It would make sense for either of you to be the lead on this, so I'll let you guys decide what you want to do.
I'll let Navis lead this one, because I think Nova's more interested in the data.
Right,
Yeah,
yep, that makes sense.
If one is, if I lead this, I can kick in my talent, which means we can ignore 2 resistance.
Okay, well, I can tell you there's no resistance currently, but if there was, yes, you'd have knocked it down, so cool.
Oh, fair enough. So what's this? Reason and engineering?
I can go with that, yes. None of your...
control and engineering if you'd rather.
Well, you are pulling something apart and then attaching it. So it's either going to be you using your smarts, hence your reason, or you're going to be doing something a little bit risky with technology, which would use daring. Now, obviously, Vibers' reason is higher than his daring, so a case can be made. So I'm fine with reason and engineering. Nova, since you said you're helping him by pulling it apart, maybe daring and engineering, as you've already tagged, does make sense, and you've got your focus of tinkering. Natala.
Right.
Reason, definitely a good one for Natala.
Let's see if there's any...
A case can be made for Natala using science or engineering, but engineering makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, a bit of reason engineering.
Okay.
As
Everybody... Sorry, go
this is
on.
messing around with Starfleet tech. Could I do safety protocols for this one? Or
Okay, yeah, I'm game with that.
if you do that, it'll fry it.
The difficulty has now gone down from 4 to 3.
Okay. Right. Can I get away with any of my focuses on this one?
Well, have a look. Let me see. Your focuses...
Computers is probably a good one.
You're not using a computer, you're using a transmitter.
Yeah, fair.
Transmitter, more like a radio than a computer. But a case can be made that there is a computer system on it. You're trying to interface with a computer. No, actually, no.
I'm integrating with their power systems, so...
Alright, I'll go with that one. That one makes sense.
Cool.
No, almost all of Nova's focuses work with this.
So that's one success so far. Oh my!
With this many complications, we accidentally summon Q, who decides to monkey around with you.
Once again, I can eliminate one of the two complications, but not both.
Right.
Almost no successes this time.
Alright, so that one has been gone through, but you didn't manage to get any success with that, and at the same time, you hear from inside the shuttle,
What do you mean they're interfering with our systems?
at which point Damon Storbo storms out of the shuttle. He and his soldiers are armed. And they come around rather aggressively to the back of the shuttle.
You are interfering, if not sabotaging, Ferengi equipment.
Whispers to Keval. Are the rest of them that bad at hacking? Apparently today they might be.
Proud of.
I'm sorry, sir. You mean your ship isn't here for servicing?
Don't give me that sorry excuse, Starfleet. You are attempting to place monitoring devices on my craft. This is technically an
Spatial?
galactic incident that you are sparking here. You have made an aggressive move against members of the Ferengi. I would be well within my rights to arrest you all. Take me to your commanding officer.
I will ensure that these people do not take this, do not do anything like this again. Right, you two, come with me. Off to
They
the
all
brig.
draw their weapons.
You included. All four of you.
And he indicates with his own phaser.
March! Don't make me have to stun you.
So, yes, Damon Storbo and his two soldiers have now leveled their weapons at Edwards, Vibers, Natala, and Nova. What are you doing?
We may have caused an incident.
What was that, Alex?
I said you can't do that anymore. Your commander, your badge has been taken apart.
Oh shit!
Vibe was pretty much like Ghost for his combat. I was like, oh yeah.
Andrews would do it. Commander Andrews, we have a situation.
Yeah. So,
I'm a little bit confused with the timing. Sorry, because I was under the impression that that we were doing this only until the extent of their conversation, and as soon as their conversation with the commander ended, we were going to break away from it.
Well, because of the level of complications, I would agree with Matt that it's
Yeah,
overran.
absolutely. Look, I've lost track of time.
We've lost track of time and fucked up.
pretty much. That's what we're aiming for. Or yes, the first complication I was going to say, but then there was a whole lot of extra complications.
Yeah, the additional ones we couldn't wish away.
Yes. So, yes. Marched at phaser point by the Ferengi over to...
Well, commanders, it seems that the Federation and Starfleet is not above a little sabotage. And here I was, just offering our assistance to you and your people here. But it seems that paranoia has gotten hold of the Federation a lot more than I'd anticipated. Very well. If you will not accept us as friends, then I suppose we're going to have to look upon each other as competitors. And as competitors...
Are you sure they...
Go on.
Are you sure they weren't running diagnostics? The trip through the atmospheric layers are quite tricky. Maybe they were just checking that your craft was launched.
Don't insult my intelligence, Andorian. It was plainly obvious what they were doing. We have the sensor records to match. This one, he indicates Edwards, was not nearly as thorough as he might have liked about his breaking into our communication cryptology protocols. I can see that he is young. He's not as experienced as someone like a Ferengi officer would be.
I can only offer my sincerest apologies, Damon. This incident will be dealt with as a sign of recompense for the interference that has been caused to your vessel. I can only offer my sincerest apologies, and if allowed, my crew will ensure that any damage that has been done to your vessel will be rectified as a sign of... I don't want to say good faith, because that won't go down well.
He makes his way around the group, still with their hands up, to confront Andrews.
This does, of course, open up an interesting opportunity here, Commander. Recompense, you said. I still think we can make formidable allies against the Orions. Maybe as a way of trying to smooth things over between us with this little misunderstanding. Perhaps you could share resources with us. Perhaps we could be partners after all. You share a little bit of what you've got, and maybe I'll overlook this little mistake.
Would it be worth sharing the breach of the Orion ship as recompense?
The communications.
It's an idea.
Looking to the commanding officers, he's not going to go on his own initiative again after this.
I'm actually intrigued by the idea that we might have opened up an opportunity that we wouldn't otherwise have taken.
But as I say, this is something physical that can be given as a start.
Yeah, and I'm massively against the fact that we've now got a potential diplomatic issue for what's gone on, and any signs of let's help the Ferengi further is not going to go well, because we are now constantly going to be reminded of the situation.
It was just a thought.
What would it be? What would you like as a resource requirement?
They've got to spy the antenna.
Simply an exchange or share of what goes on in there. Perhaps we could discuss this in a more civilized light. Perhaps in your pavilion over there, we could discuss how we can help each other. You're all welcome to listen in, of course. What say you?
Your ship arc instead. It was very pretty.
I'm sure it's a good idea. Come along.
Without actually waiting to hear whether or not you agree, Daemon Storbo starts moving towards the entertainment pavilion.
Yeah, Natala's getting glared at for this.
So he's going to walk into a place I've just finished converting into a triage area.
Yep. Daemon Storbo walks in.
Ugh. I don't like the decor. Bit drab, isn't it?
He looks at the bio beds and stuff like that.
Oh dear.
I look up and I'm just going to very flatly say, please state the nature of the medical emergency.
Wounded ego.
There is no medical emergency, Doctor. At least, not yet.
Well, trust that I will be here to advise and assist in case that changes. And then I go back to making myself look busy.
Daemon Storbo looks over at the panel that controls the hologrammatic projectors.
Ah, this is some form of holosuite. Interesting. Computer. A chair, high-backed, dark oak, gilded. Sized for a daemon.
At which point, let's face it, a throne turns up, and Daemon Storbo sits into it.
Yes, very nice, very nice. I'll give you Federations this. You do fine holographic technology. I could make quite a bit of latinum with this kind of hologrammatical technology, but we're here to discuss something a bit more serious and far-reaching, are we not, Commander?
I am entirely up for the entire crew being available to actually, allowed to actually partake in this conversation. So I'm either assuming that peeps are in, or unless folks tell me otherwise, that they're not actually taking place.
Round two.
Actually, no, that's a really bad idea. I think we should probably follow it and sit there in trouble in the corner.
On the naughty step.
Pretty much.
Bertram is looking at all
the Ferengi, so I think I'll stay outside.
Bertram is looking at all this and he gives Andrews a look like, do I need to holographically create a naughty corner?
Does Keval, in that case, if he's not taking part in it, want to stay that far away, or is he going to put himself in a place where he can see everybody? What's he doing?
I think
being that close to Ensign Pakchar, you notice that the insectoid, he's looking very nervous. His antennae are twitching very nervously about the place. I mean, he's an insect, but as another being that expresses themselves with antennae, because they're used for sensing, you can tell, especially because Andorians have antennae as well. That's Pakchar's feeling very on edge now with everything that's going on.
Don't worry. Commander's got this.
He's nervously tapping his all his fingers together on all of his hands. Either way.
Well then, Commander. Let us be frank.
Rule of Acquisition 33, never hurts to suck up to the boss. Well put.
Let me be frank. You are sitting on a latinum mine here. But the thing that concerns me the most is the Orions. I dislike Orions, green-skinned scum. And I'm willing to do anything to stop them getting their hands on what's inside that bunker. But of course, there's no reason why we, as more civilized individuals, couldn't come to an agreement as to what happens when we eventually do break open this bunker. The Orions, of course, will try and stake their claim on it, and the two of us together would be a formidable force that the Orions would never stand a chance at getting around. So, I think this is a perfect opportunity for an alliance. What do you think?
Personally, I don't think it's a wise idea, but diplomatically, we don't have much choice in the matter.
I'll tell you what. Oh, go on, please.
As much as it disdains me, to on that, we would be willing to share the research documentation and reports of what was found here as a good faith. But as mentioned before, I do believe that the Federation has the situation under control adequately as is, but again appreciate the Ferengi's offer of assistance.
Well, the data is, of course, most welcome. But, well, there's only so much we can do with something that hasn't yet been unearthed. Tell you what I'll do. Out of the goodness of my heart.
And he's definitely leaning towards Andrews here, and there's a very lecherous, licentious grin on his face.
Why don't you let my brave Ferengi be security for this expedition, and that allows you and your folks to do what they do best, which is dig around in the dirt and do science things. And then, of course, when the time comes to break open the bunker, your Ferengi allies will be there, protecting you. I think this is probably the best decision to come to.
He stands up from the throne.
Think on it. In the meantime, I'll make sure those nasty Orions don't come calling for you and your folks in your sleep. Milady?
And he walks out. He says something in Ferengi, which is pretty much, come on. And his officers trail back to their shuttle, but one of them stays on watch. And the daemon disappears back into the shuttle for the time being. Interestingly enough, Edwards, as soon as Daemon Storbo is on board the ship, Edwards' little hack into their communication system gets a reading.
This is Daemon Storbo. Beam down more guards. They're to be posted at all the security points on the surface. The humans and Federation have agreed to allow us to secure the site. Beam down security personnel and have them on the lookout for those Orion scum.
Now you can only imagine, since Storbo knew that you had a tap into his comms, and I'm going to just leave that there. So, over the course of the next couple of minutes, Ferengi start beaming down.
Yes, I think what that's happening is that Andrews is going to ask, "What the hell?"
You've got some explaining to do, young man.
No, it's just, I think it's more of the kind of like Vivers and Natala. What the hell?
Well, you know, play this out however you want, guys.
Commander, this didn't quite go to plan.
You're telling me, Commander? I appreciate the gesture of trying to gather information, but now we find ourselves in a very diplomatic situation. We're now having to pander to the Ferengi.
Apologies, Commander. Their external sensors were trickier than I expected.
Let's avoid mentioning that in the official report to Admiral Stoker for now, shall we?
We might be able to turn this to our advantage.
Potentially, but there's no obvious way here
Well.
that won't necessarily backfire.
We can still backfire, yes, which is why I'm passing it by the senior commander now. As
Yes, keep
it
your
would
ears
have
wide open
worked
for
if there
potential.
wasn't a cascade effect with combining with everyone else's probings. But
But setting
we
aside
do
what happened,
potentially have something that the Orions now would be interested in. What was it? Sun Tzu, Divide and Conquer?
that was always a potential. But yes, I currently don't see a opportunity to turn this to our favour, but one
Not
never
yet.
knows.
It's more that something that we could use to barter with them to keep them on each other.
You've definitely never dealt with the Ferengi before, have you, Mr. Edwards?
No, just the Orions.
What we have is a situation where, due to my screw up, we are effectively under the thumb of a particularly capable individual. We will have opportunities to turn his trap against him, I'm certain, but no. There is an obvious possibility that the methods and operations of the Orion and the Ferengi are similar enough and different enough that they should present us with opportunities. But it is hard to tell at this point.
Most definitely. In the long run, we are going to have to play them against each other. But for now, we are at the mercy of the Ferengi.
Seem like nice people.
What was that, Shaun? I didn't catch that.
They seem like nice people.
He certainly had he certainly smiled a lot. Commander Tarvek, listening in at the door, or the tent flap, whatever you want to call it. This is a most distressing situation. Like your fellows, I am afraid I do not see an easy way out of this. But can I ask an honest question? We are seriously not considering giving any of this power source over to the Ferengi, are we?
Oh, absolutely not.
Then you have a plan? Or shall we merely wait until the situation presents itself?
We need to be ready for when we actually open the vault, is that the Ferengi will then turn on us, and more than likely outnumber us by the amount of guards that they're going to be insisting come with us.
As they haven't begun transporting them down yet, we could potentially turn... Again, their sensors are better than I expected, so this might not be the best idea. But there would be a possibility, if you wanted to, of making a disruption that appeared to be part of the weather patterns.
It's funny you should mention the weather patterns, Commander. I was about to note that we've currently been experiencing only the leading edge of the plasma storm that will be coming in over the next 24 hours. We were intent on trying to get the power source, or get at the power source, I should say, before the storm front hit in earnest, because if we did not manage to excavate the power source before the storm actually hit, the interference caused by the storm would make any retrieval of whatever's inside of that bunker extraordinarily difficult. Not to mention, difficult getting it off-world.
If you have sufficient records of previous storms, I could do my best to make such interference look like it will, just happen to happen a little earlier.
As much as I appreciate, I don't want to risk making additional problems for ourselves with the Ferengi.
Indeed. I just wanted to raise the possibility.
Either way, Commander, your second officer does raise an interesting point. The Ferengi are here, and they may very well be expecting us to continue our operations with unearthing the entrance to the bunker. Perhaps if we were to deliberately delay our progress until the Stormfront got here. I am, of course...
It would make the situation harder to extract, but at the same time it offers a better chance of us turning the situation to our advantage.
As I have said before, these are merely logical guesses on my part. I am without any experience in this kind of situation.
What if we tried to break in while we tried to break in?
Are there any previous methods of any previous tunnels of excavation in the area?
That is...
entrance that we could make.
It is interesting that you should bring that point up, the two of you. The archeological expedition has been scouring the ruins on this planet for some time. It was only within the last week and a half that we managed to discern the location of the power source. It then, a week ago, was when we, upon analyzing the bunker, managed to discover the opening that we required to get in. It is unfortunate that the opening itself is fragile enough that it will take some time to excavate. To not take that time would risk a tunnel collapse, which would potentially harm whatever's inside, and also make the time of excavation that much lengthier. To our knowledge, therefore, the bunker is the only entrance that we have managed to discern to the underground complex that holds whatever this power source is.
I have an idea.
Yes?
Do we have any spare of these holographic emitters?
I believe, and I can't believe you're making me say this, I believe Ensign Kenson is in charge of maintaining the hologrammatic projectors, and therefore would be the one best suited to tell you if there are any spare parts.
Because both the Orions and the Ferengi will lose their interest if it looks like we just had a cave in and we won't be able to get at it for months.
They might stay for longer.
Or
I doubt
potentially
it.
other possibilities. We could potentially create the illusion of overwhelming force, but again, the weather patterns won't necessarily be conducive to that.
Or we can put some sort of hologram together which makes it look like there isn't anything interesting in there once we get through.
I'm rather dissuaded by how effective their sensors have been thus far.
So, I suppose the question that I must ask comes down to, do you want to wait this out and see what happens, wait this out a little longer and see what happens, or do you want to try and start implementing the possibility of a plan? Or maybe start implementing the possibility of a plan whilst waiting out to see what happens.
My opinion would be that we wait out and let the storm hit as part of our requirements. Because then
that
it means
increases the likelihood of a confrontation between the Orions and the Ferengi.
yes, it also increases the chance of the complications on all of the work that's ongoing. Yes, it makes it harder to extract it, but it means that we've got a better chance of having cover to do what we need to do.
Mm-hmm. All right then. Anybody else with any ideas, or does that sound reasonable to everybody else?
So that's definitely step one. I think that sounds reasonable.
My only question is, I assume I've been listening in on comms. My only question is, what would the diplomatic fallout be if we do not include the Ferengi in this extraction? Seeing as we've agreed to have them here.
I think we can work on the presumption that they're going to try and double cross us first. The chances of them not doing so seem unless they will
Innocent until
invalidate
proven
their own part of the
guilty.
agreement.
Well, the difference here, I think, the important difference here so far is that you guys got caught. And I think that's the... Yeah, that's. I think that was the definitive point. As far as what does anybody know about the Ferengi enough to maybe give him a lead over? Does anyone here have cultural studies or the like?
Yes.
Yes, as it happens. Anthropology, cultural studies. Well, you know the Ferengi are very big on capitalism. They're very big on making deals. I think one of the rules of acquisition is something like an oral contract is about as much worth as the paper it was printed on, or something like that.
There's one which involves something that's worth a sack. What's that one? Dignity.
But along those lines, yeah, the Ferengi have a lot of pretense at being shrewd businessmen, but they're just as likely to, as John has quite rightly pointed out, they're just as likely to stab you in the back if they can get away with it, if it means they come up on top. I mean, even if you guys had signed a contract at this point, it doesn't necessarily mean that they would...
As my first host said, a contract is a contract is a contract, but only between Ferengi.
Yeah. And even then, there's no guarantee that they won't slip out of the contract if they think they can get away with it, so... Okay.
I think we must just be prepared for any potential fallout if they feel we've breached contract. And I don't know what that could entail.
I think they might just well claim that regardless of whether we breach it or not.
But it might be, leading off of that, it might be an idea if you guys thought of some kind of response or some such, some plan to action as if the worst happens. Because ultimately, you guys, if you're going to look like you're busy doing what the Ferengi asked you to, then you're going to have to start scattering back amongst the.
How much access will we have to communications once the storm properly hits, and how much access will we have to Keval?
Well, at the moment, communications are crackly, but they are getting progressively worse. And Commander Tavek will tell you that as soon as the plasma storm hits, that's it. You won't have communications.
So it would be interesting to find out, if we can, where his authority comes from. Basically, do they have, like, is he the head of his family, that kind of thing?
Right now, I think the important thing to note is that he's the captain of a Ferengi vessel with a load of guys on board. What his social status may be outside of that may or may not be relevant to your present situation, unless you can think of something that I can't.
Negotiation.
Oh, I see. Well, you know, that sounds like that would involve a lot of time and a lot of digging.
Yeah.
So it depends on whether or not you want to maybe do that on the sly on the side as one thing that you're doing in the meantime. Excuse me. Or if we just want to, if you want to create a fallback plan just in case things go wrong, or if you just want to play it by ear.
Speaking of ears. Sorry, couldn't resist.
Well then.
It's kind of hard to see. It all depends on how things develop, I suppose.
A lot of it depends on what's actually in there.
Alright, well, Commander Tavik will at least get back to putting his team back to work on doing stuff, just so the Ferengi don't start getting suspicious. He'll leave whatever you guys are planning to do, if you're planning to do anything, up to you guys. So in the meantime, are you guys going to keep yourselves cooped up there, or are you going to spread out, or are you going to go to keep yourselves together and put yourselves in a specific place? What do you want to do?
Dr. Bertram was, now that he set up the triage ready in case, he wanted to see if there was an opportunity to examine the interesting vegetation that he was talking
Of
about.
course. Of course. Yep.
Edwards is just going to go back and start helping out his sister again. Oh, too far.
Cousin, dear boy. Cousin.
Cousin, sorry.
It would be a whole lot more interesting if it was his sister, but I thought I'd go light and go cousin. But yes, as you start dispersing amongst the various different tents and smaller buildings, you do notice that. Pardon me. You do notice there are more Ferengi turning up. They, for the most part, are just standing around with their hands on their weapons ready, but they're just kind of watching at the moment. So basically, people can put their characters wherever they think their characters are going to be hanging out for a little bit, just to watch as the situation unfolds. In the meantime, sometime later, not too far into the future, Edwards. Sorry, what was that? Sounds like you said something, Davis.
Vibers is cheering 0G ball games.
With Ensign Kenson.
I'm in trouble. I'm not performing any plans until I get told to do it.
I'm slowly putting the drill back together since it was in pieces.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the drill does need to be rebuilt.
I'm doing it slow and methodical and totally nuts.
Buying time.
I'm positioning myself wherever the vegetation and stuff is.
Well, the camp is pretty much in a clearing, And so the edges of the camp are pretty much marked by the tree line. So anywhere you could go, doesn't matter if it's all the way up to the north near to the bunker entrance or closer to the others, but there's an abundance of trees. But yeah, very, very interesting. Slightly different shade of color than you'll recognize most trees, being kind of a dull gray bark. But interestingly enough, the trees are very porous. As such, there's a lot of air holes. What you could at first mistake to be maybe nests from avians or other creatures that like to dig inside and make nests inside of trees. But you figure out that it's actually almost like a honeycomb inside of these trees, and air passes in, and there's very much like a flute, a creepy flute effect as air currents pass in. And since the wind is starting to pick up, this kind of haunting, howling, fluting kind of sound is starting to become a lot more pervasive around the camp as a whole. Keval, what with you hanging out with Lieutenant, what's his name? Targinch. Targinch himself is getting very fidgety because he's always looking around nervously at the Ferengi, who are now turned up in quite a few numbers, and he's every now and again idly fingering the phaser at his waist, but then thinks better of it and is rubbing his hands together and twiddling his beard. But it seems to be extraordinarily nervous. Commander Tuvek, pardon me. Tuvek? That's wrong. Tarvek. Blinking Vulcans and their similar naming conventions. All they do is swap vowels around, I ask you.
Occasionally apostrophes.
Indeed. Makes it even harder.
Just mix the Scrabble bag and throw it down.
Tuvek tries to keep his people busy. And it's a little, not too long, but a little time later that Edwards, you get something coming through on your cracked comm channel. As in, you've broken into somebody else's comm channel.
The Orion one, you mean?
Arvek! You there or what? Hey! Give me some time. It's not easy to find these things in the storm. But yeah, I think I found a few. How many is a
I'm
few?
relaying this to Andrews.
Okie dokie. So,
Why
yes,
do you
Edwards.
into this?
So, what's the read? I don't know, 3, maybe 4 of them. Big, lizard-like. Stupid looking. I reckon we could sell these guys spanners and rusty pipes and they'd be willing to talk with us. Fine. The boss just wants them tempted over to our side, so we've got numbers again. I'll send Uvek in your direction. Maybe 2 of you will at least make it look a bit more of a fair thing. You reckon you can keep those guys talking long enough that I can bring you some supplies to sell them? Yeah, no problem. These guys are pretty dumb. I could probably get Uvek to do a dance number and they'd pay attention. Just, let's sell them the scrap stuff, right? Don't think I want these guys monkeying with energy weapons just yet. Acknowledged. On my way.
Now, you reckon...
Looks like the Orions are planning on selling to the locals. Sorry.
Yeah. Now, you reckon that signal came in pretty strong. So you reckon somebody on... Obviously, that was from individuals on planet. And you reckon you can trace the signal.
And you can be able to find them, Commander orders.
What does Andrews think, Webby?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to go and inquire to stop. It's the actual Prime Directive gets very foggy at this point.
What do we tell the Ferengi, or do we try and some of us sneak out and some of us stay?
It might be a good way. It might be a good way to thin some of the numbers, but at the same time, it's interfering with the locals.
That is a
Use
good
the
point.
Ferengi to interfere and sort of bypass the Prime Directive.
Yeah, but
Ooh.
yeah,
That is an
it's
interesting
like
question. How far are you willing to go?
I can't.
If any of us,
Starfleet protocols, I can't.
we could intercept the supplies they're planning on selling.
We could. That would be the easier option, but at the same time, we're then showing active hostility to the.
The Orions.
The only other thing I could think of that would potentially still get started an incident, but not with us, is if we did tell the Ferengi.
The only situation which doesn't end up with us potentially firing on or allowing to be fired upon people who ought to be protected from this kind of technology is to directly protect them from that technology. That would mean a degree of hostility against the Orions, but then if we don't want them to be potentially in a firefight with the Ferengi and get themselves killed whilst wielding technology they shouldn't have access to in the first place.
I said they don't have access to much yet. They've got, from the transmission, they're planning on getting stuff to trade them, so they've not got the things to barter with to give into their hands yet.
Another option might be to just scatter the natives. We know what they're scared of. Maybe we could just frighten them away from the meeting using.
Could we potentially provoke a lightning storm or something using some kind of discharge at ground level?
We could borrow one of the spare projectors and then just set off the noise when they're beginning trading. So I think it's a bad idea.
Wasn't it said they had some sort of fearful reaction to the sounds going through the trees because that was they believed it to be like spirits or something that they were scared of?
Yep.
That's why I'm misremember that. Wait for the deal to go down, and then play it, because then that'll spook them. They'll think it's something associated with the deal.
It's funnily enough, the thing I was wanted to say to Matt is one of the reasons Bertram's scanning the trees because he was told about the sound effect. He's kind of thinking, if the worst came to the worst, the Ferengi sort of position themselves and then tried to take the camp when it came. If we could actually make the sound get very, very large. I seem to remember Ferengi are vulnerable to pain.
They have very sensitive ears.
Yeah, which was another reason I wanted to start looking at the trees. To the point that I've probably during this time been scanning the trees to actually see, with perhaps a little bit of technological assistance, how powerful the sounds they could actually emanate.
If you direct it off key trees, could you end up doing a kind of feedback loop so it gets louder and louder, just baiting through the actual trees, specific trees themselves?
I don't, unless Matt tells me anything that I found anything different. I don't think it's so much like a feedback loop like we have with electronic. We're talking about a natural-based thing.
I'm talking about just directing it. So if you're able to direct the sounds through certain large trees, they might be able to focus the echo to the sound gets louder and louder.
Yeah, we might be able to. We'd probably want to actually see if we can rig some devices that can actually generate sort of like air pressure differentials.
Which kind of feeds into what Jan was talking about with using the holographic tech to spook the natives with.
Yeah.
So you all seem to be going on to the same kind of idea. And if you think you want to do it, then...
Or we could just go low-tech and take a recording of it and stuff it in a nearby tree, and just play it when they get near.
Well, if Bertram has been doing this all this time, then he's got a pretty good reading of the acoustics.
Yeah, probably I will have been doing it for multiple trees.
So either you can create something to start... Yeah, the trouble is you're going to... Well, it's not I'm not saying it's impossible to create a means by which you can naturally start making the trees make these noises. You're going to be tinkering against the elements a little bit here because, like I said, the storm front is moving in, which means the winds are increasing in strength. And you're going to try and do something very specific in the very localized area, which means you're also going to need to have to find your way to where this meat is going down and do it stealthily.
I'm kind of thinking for scaring the natives away from the deal, maybe a recording will be sufficient. We'll probably need to actually, if we end up using these as a card against the Ferengi, if and when they move against us, we'll probably need something more than just a recording. We'll need the actual proper potency of the sound, probably from multiple angles as well.
So this could actually feed in with the failed attempt at Ferengi data heist. Was stopped, but this sounds like another teamwork kind of thing going on here, where you're essentially trying to outfit a device, let's say more than likely one of the holo projectors, with the ability to project. Well, actually, no, not a holo projector. You're looking at another communication device. But you probably want to use some stuff from the holo projectors in order to amplify that sound. You probably also want to use the holo projector as a means of maybe masking yourselves. Maybe. I mean, I'm just throwing ideas out. But seeing as it sounds like this could be a good collaboration between Bertram, who's got the readings of the natural acoustics, Edwards, of course, with his communications systems experience, sounds like you're going to need to retrofit something, which definitely is in Viber's and almost certainly in Nova's wheelhouse. So this sounds to me like this could be another collaborative effort at something. Of course, you probably might want to pass this by Andrews and Natala. So.
Actually tell Andrews that we're doing something.
Yeah.
Also, something that might be worth filing away later. But would it be possible to run a simulation of what would happen to these trees once that storm hits? Because if it's just a minor noise, if something large is a large atmospheric movement sound, how loud's that sound gonna get when it hits?
Well, perhaps we don't even need to run the simulation. You just ask the people on the planet.
The natives we're not meant to be communicating with.
No, there is a research crew that have been through several storms previously.
Sorry, that bit I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
No, it's a fair point.
With this many people working on a project whilst the Ferengi are around, I guess some of us need to be working with the local crew to make the dig site and repairs to the mining equipment look busy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
which can be done.
Natala will be up to whilst this is going on.
Okay, yeah. In which case, Natala can probably be put to work in trying to help configure the phaser drill, because that'll be the thing that will allow you access to the bunker, especially after Nova took it apart when she should have been trying to configure it. But she couldn't help herself. She'd never seen a phaser drill before, so in her defense, it was very much a case of, ooh, how's this work? Speaking of, Nova being the tinkerer would make sense for her to be on this team of let's create a device that's doing something different than it was originally intended to. If Shaun's up for that.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I suppose it comes down to what does the commander think?
I think it's a good approach because it gives us, one, a potential to disrupt the meeting of the locals and the Orions, and two, it gives us as a weapon to potentially, or something to weaponize against the Ferengi should we need it.
Will this be using the scientific method to adapt what we're doing, or adapt the technology we're planning?
No, the scientific method is usually the guidelines in the rulebook, at least, was used for creating something more over long term. It's a downtime system.
Fair enough.
But
Okay.
if you're thinking about the extended task kind of thing that I was alluding to, then yeah, that was pretty much my idea. So yes, nice, thinking along the same page.
Because I was just asking because if so, then unconventional thinking will potentially apply in this.
Whilst all this is going off, is that Andrews will actually be going out scouting the local area from the information. Probably if Keval's up for it as well. Like, one, getting an understanding of how many Ferengi troops are in the area, and
Okay.
two, trying to see if we can scout to see where the Orions are potentially moving, but not going too far from the camp with the storm starting to close in.
All right. Okay. And that this is whilst the team are working on modifying this hollow emitter. Yes?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, Jan, up for that?
Yep.
Okay. So, first things first, then let's get this extended task done. So this is... what can I call? What can we call this? Operation Spook the Natives.
I see. Ghost voice. Oh, Ghost Flute. Operation Ghost Flute.
Operation Ghost what?
Ghost Flute.
Ghost Flute. Hey, there we go. I like that.
Ghost Whisperers.
Oh, I don't have enough space for whisperers.
Flute now.
Now, seeing as you are using stuff you've already come across, using data you've already got. Actually, no, that's the whole point of this. You're going to be trying to integrate all the data you've already got. Make this... I'll start out with difficulty 1. Work track. This is going to take terribly long, so let's make a work track of 5. We're going to need Bertram to simulate... No, first, we're going to need somebody, probably Nova with Vibers' help, to... Bless you. To modify the device. Then we're going to need the communication system using Edwards' knowledge to be modified, and then we're finally going to need Bertram to input the correct acoustic level waveform. So that sounds like three jobs to complete there, and so work track of 5. You guys are actually pretty good at what you do, so.
Yeah, we did. We said that last time.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to put resistance of 1 to this because you're trying to make a hollow emitter become something that it's not actually totally supposed to be made for. The work track is 5, difficulty is 1, but I am going to up the difficulty by spending threat to be 3. Because now time is not on your side as things are closing in, and this has the potential to go wronger. So...
Does that factor in unconventional thinking potentially reducing difficulty?
Okay. Knocked up down to 2 then.
If it applies, I mean, sorry, I'm not 100%.
I think that combined with Vibers' 1 will probably knock the difficulty down, so okay. As long as Vibers is working on this, the difficulty will go down. Natala, I'll get you working on the other thing. So in between working out how many breakthroughs you guys do for this particular job, I will be working with Natala and Andrews and Keval. So first things first. The first thing we're going to need is the device being repurposed. So this will probably be a Vibers and Nova jobby. So whoever wants to take the lead on this.
Well, this is using something for other than its intended purpose. Nova, this seems to be more your expertise.
I'll certainly give it a go.
I'll sit here with the manual.
I certainly think daring and engineering is going to be the one to go for here.
Okay.
Obviously, Nova's got her. Yeah, so obviously Nova's got her focus for this.
Should I burn the momentum in order to get us an advantage and a reroll?
Yeah. Things have been going wrong. I'll take that as a sign.
Cool.
All right, so that's 2 momentum that just got spent. So what was that?
I'm pulling procedural compliance on this. I pulled up the manual. So as we're using it against its purpose, I know what each of the bits do. So we're using them against their purpose, but we know what their specs are and what they can do.
So you're spending 2
we
momentum
might
to
find
create
the
an
problems.
advantage.
Yes.
Nice.
And
Okay.
it gives me a reroll.
Also, for future note is that if we do need more momentum, when we're a bit low later, so that I can burn a determination to put some into the pool if we need it. So we're not necessarily.
You will burn determination.
Sounds
Make
like
up your mistakes, Mr. Edwards.
Not just my mistake.
You will burn determination.
Well,
to make
in
up
that case-
your
You
mistake.
did get 2 complications on 1 roll.
you did. So maybe, Alex, it might be an idea to do that
Only
now.
one counted. Fine. Only count as 1.
Still only counts as 1.
What am I rolling?
I'm just trying to see if there's anything
So,
that I can
yeah,
do.
whatever you need to do to get the momentum points from your talent, which it looks like you've already done so.
I meant for the actual test itself. It's all I do is
Up.
burn a determination.
You're not up yet. You have to wait for your bit.
Okay.
3 successes, which was 1 over what you needed.
Nah, that's not good enough. 4 successes. That's
4
good enough.
successes, 2 momentum. Okay,
I didn't
nicely
even
done.
burn that momentum.
I feel like Navis complaining about the advice from this manual.
Cool.
It's like you're reading the wrong page.
So,
This manual saved us from 1 fuse that might have possibly exploded.
yeah, quite.
Some decade.
So, you not only knocked the resistance down there, you also had an advantage, which allowed you the reroll, which knocked the difficulty down, which gave you the extra momentums, which means that, yes, Nova and Vibers managed to successfully repurpose a hollow emitter, and, yeah, you reckon you've got the thing repurposed very nicely. In fact, I would go so far as to say that this thing is, extraordinarily stable. And ready to accept.
I think we'll save the...
You see, I can't hear that word without thinking Theresa May strong and stable.
Oh, now you've got to make me feel dirty.
It's fine, right? We're taking the plan for this, and this is our bribe to Andrews and I. We can submit this to Starfleet as a new plan for a new design of thing. Please don't put us up to a disciplinary.
An improvement
The
on
ghost
current
flute.
the current
What?
hollow emitter.
Why do you think Andrews has gone off scouting? She's like, you've made the problem. You need to fix the problem.
Speaking
Delegation
of-
of authority is that learn from your
Let's take-
mistakes.
But this isn't fixing that problem. This is fixing a different problem that we had nothing to do with yet.
Well, whilst this is going on, Natala is going to be reconfiguring the phaser drills. So,
And going to
Natala,
be the entire Navis crew.
even putting on the different voices. Hand me the hyperspanner, Edwards. Yes, Mom! I live to serve!
Why is almost every second word bravo?
I just need Natala to give me a... What do we think? We're trying to configure something here, so...
Reason engineering, possibly.
I'm up for that.
Through-
Starfleet safety protocols can apply here because you're trying to basically... This is technically a phaser cannon that's supposed to be used for, mining, drilling, excavating, but it has the capacity to be turned into a horribly powerful weapon. and can backfire. So I'm perfectly fine with safety protocols going into this because, you know, since you're having to put the thing back together after Nova took it apart.
And all I've really got to help me is the shuttle's computer.
So this goes... Hang on, let me turn the angle here.
Cancel?
So, yeah, go for it. I'm going to make this one success. You need to properly put this together since you got the you got the shuttle computer giving you the how to construct your very own phaser drill. There we go. So Natala successfully puts together the phaser drill, so it's ready to be used within the near future. Awesome. Now then, Operation Ghost Flute Part 2. Now we need Edwards to do his thing. Anybody who wants to try and help? I mean, Vibers and Nova are perfectly alright to help this, because you're basically now trying to... Actually, Vibers, he's got computers as a focus.
Yep.
What am I using? Would it be engineering?
In this case, the engineering stuff has already been done. This is now programming it to act as a sound emitter, as a big speaker, basically. So this would be more control and science.
Yep.
What do you want?
This
Say
could
him again on the assistant.
Yeah, control and science on the assistant, but you get to add your computer's focus since you are essentially programming.
There's also momentum. I'll nab one as I pay for it.
Since you've spent momentum, I'm going to spend threat and put this difficulty up to 2.
Also, I forgot something as well. That's what I did last time. Untapped potential, so I get to roll a challenge dice as well.
Ooh, in that case, type in roll 1d6 into the thingamabob.
1d6.
Let's see what it comes up with. We get a 4, which is a blank, which means... Well, what's the talent that you're using? Say.
Untapped potential.
So we're looking for an effect?
Character receives bonus momentum equal to the roll of the challenge dice and adds 1 point of threat if an effect is rolled.
No effect was rolled, and you didn't get a result, so you got no momentum for that either. So the 4 and the 5 on the dice, in case you're wondering, is kind of like blank. That's how the challenge dice in this work. So 1 and 2 are 1 and 2 successfully. 3 and 4 are blank. 5 and 6 are 1 and 2 again, respectively, but they are also 1 and 2 with effects. Use. 2 successes.
Okay.
You need 1 more. And you got it. So that's your second breakthrough.
And is there any resistance on this one at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah. We succeeded at a task using never mind.
But you did
I
succeed.
used control. Not anymore. Knock the resistance as per every effect rolled, so 2 resistance for every effect rolled.
So basically...
Intense scrutiny.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got that open as well.
So, let's have a look at that. Whenever you succeed at a task using a reason part of an extended advantage, you may ignore up to 2 resistance for every effect rolled.
Does this imply I should be rolling a challenge dice?
Does that mean I should be rolling challenge dice? I don't think so. Well, roll a challenge dice. Roll d6. If anybody in chat wants to correct me, feel free to. Oh, there we are. That is an effect and 2. So what does that mean in regards to intense scrutiny?
2 resistance.
Ignore up to 2 resistance. Nice. Well done. So, yeah. Resistance goes down to 0. that's the second breakthrough made. So Edwards, with help, manages to load in the program that allows the repurposed projector to now be a sound projector. So let's move on while this is going on to Keval and Andrews. Right, you guys were scoping out the area, seeing if you could scope out where the Orions were. Was that right?
The Orions, and to work out how many Ferengi numbers are around.
Okay. Well, I've placed all the Ferengi that have been beamed down on the area. So if you can see them, that's where they are, and that's how many there are. So there are a fair few of them, but they're not swarming the place. They don't have that kind of numbers. In the meantime, if you're trying to get an eye on where... Was it these specific Orions, the ones who were looking to sell stuff to the natives?
Yes.
Right then, okay. So, it comes down to who's going to be the principal. I imagine it's going to be Andrews. But you never know. Andrews might be trusting Keval's antennae to lead them. However...
The commander should take a lead.
Commander's also got survival training, so would know how to move about in the undergrowth, so that would make sense. So, let's see. It's going to be... You're looking to get a lay of the land and identify folks and peoples. So that's going to be... Let's say... Insight and security?
Oh, yeah.
And I know insight isn't Andrews' best, but security is pretty high, and you get your focus. Keval, same, insight, security, helping. Security protocols can help here too, since, you know to cover Andrews' back, watch the shadows, watch for openings, that kind of thing. I'm going to make this difficulty 1. Ooh, now hello.
If you meet him on those rolls, is there?
All right. Okay.
Mistake.
You guys, so Andrews and Thazanan start going out on a patrol pattern, and you at the start you just get a look at the numbers of the Ferengi, and you clock how many there are and where they are. They're kind of posted, kind of sparsely here and there about the place. Obviously covering the shuttles. A couple are here and there, just at prime positions. There's a good few of them around the main dig site, and at least one posted next to each of the 2 science tents near the dig site. When you break off and start going through the forest to try and get a bead on where the Orions could be, you can get an idea of their position from the fact that Edwards got an idea of where their position could be based on the strength of the signal. And you're still getting that. These guys are still chatting to each other. And that's when you get to a point where you can actually hear somebody talking. But the weird part of it is that as you get closer, you're still hearing chatter. As if it's coming over a comm badge. So, have you seen the locals yet? I don't know, man. How long are we gonna keep this charade up for? The boss said for as long as it takes those Starfleet idiots to come out and have a look. Oh, wait. I see them. They're right by there. Okay. Now we do the next bit. Let's shake some trees. And it's at this point that Keval and Andrew start hearing movement amongst the trees, and you catch your first glimpses of reptilian bodies moving through the undergrowth. It seems they're coming towards the transmission, but that also means they're coming in your direction because you've been lured there. Now, someone just sent me a message. Ah. Thank you, John. So, Andrews, Keval, what are you going to do? There are natives closing in. But they're going towards the site of the transmission, and you're close to the site of the transmission. And you've also got something else to worry about. But we'll get to that in a minute. What do you want to do?
Stay out of sight as much as possible.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to be... Let me think. Let's go fitness and security. Although daring and security could be made for as a case could be made for daring and security as well.
Difference between just being really still and just resting up as a tree.
Pretty much.
We do these as individual roles, or we
if you want to collaborate, that's fine with me. So again, nominate a principal.
Sorry, what was that, Jan?
Take each other's camo or cover, I guess.
I've got 11 fitness and 11 daring and 4 in security. So I think if I can use my talent and follow my lead, is that Keval can then follow after, so we can do it as 2 individuals. So we can both roll at the 2 dice.
Okay. And you're going to be, rather than against a set difficulty, it's going to be against the locals' ability to perceive you, so this is going to be something else.
I think I'm definitely going to spend momentum on this, I guess.
Okay.
Everybody thinks I shouldn't.
So these guys
Keval's
are...
fitness and security not great.
It's not bad, actually, but...
It's terrible.
Do you want to do it as a joint activity then?
Burn momentum.
If I can use daring,
Okay, so that's what I've just... That's what you're up against, so...
Momentum.
Survival training or battlefield tactics as a fake
Yeah,
timer.
that's fine. Once perceiving you succeed at a task using combat or another perilous situation, you may spend 1 determination. If you do, choose an ally. The next task that ally takes counts as having assistance from you using presence and command. Alright then, so if Andrews can roll presence and command...
Single dice?
Yeah, because you're helping them.
Again, can I use my foci on that to assist?
Sure.
Or not?
Sure, yeah, no problem.
Use your focus.
And now that means Keval can make his own fitness. Oh, look at that! Once again, Keval Thazanan. If he's going to do it, he's going to do it extremely well. In fact, yes, Andrews almost loses sight of Keval. Follow my lead, walk in my footsteps, come with me. Keval? Damn, he's good.
Keval manages to take up the front and the rear.
With that many successes from both of you, what happens is that you manage to make it out of a bad situation, but you also manage to sneak around and swipe the Orion communicator. The Orions had apparently deliberately left a communicator with an open channel. You could still even hear them sniggering down it. So even though the Epsilon Alphans are moving in, trying to close in on the sound of the communicator, you manage to stealthily avoid their notice and move around, swipe the communicator, turn it off, and get away without being noticed. Well done. But now that means that the Orions...
Go
on, sorry.
Use this communicator against them.
Well, this also means that the Orions were deliberately trying to draw you away from camp. So, I'm expecting Thazanan and Andrews to make best speed back to the camp. Meanwhile, we are now on the final breakthrough needed to create Operation Ghost Flute, which means this is now down to Bertram programming in the right acoustics. Again, this is a computer program, so if Vibers wants to assist with his computer's focus, that's all fine and dandy with me.
I don't suppose I can use, as this is basically taking information and translating it from plant-based source, I can use botany as a focus.
Sure. You are attempting to emulate this natural sound made by these things, so yeah, go on. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Right. Well,
but because this has got the potential to go really, really wrong, I'm upping the difficulty to 3.
Okay. Well, I think it's the first time I'm going to... Basically, Bertram is trying to create, you could say, a balance of science and nature. So he's going to really be determined for this.
I like it.
And it doesn't come up as he starts programming this. You can still hear him whisper to himself, "You can do this, Lloyd. You're an expert at this. They don't give out Cochrane medals of excellence for nothing," which means I'm invoking the medal benefit.
Very good.
Which is once per mission, when I spend a point of determination on a task that involves the focus of botany, I receive 2 of the benefits for the determination instead of 1. I don't know how to program that into these boxes now.
Okay.
That's an extra dice, so you just roll 3 with determination.
Yeah. So essentially, you're creating two dice that have both rolled 1.
Okay.
So that's already two successes that you've done. So everything else is just gravy. So just roll your 2, and Vibers can roll his 1.
Okay.
So that's 1 success. So you've already succeeded.
Okay.
5. So
that is with determination. So I think that 1 is the determination 1. So
and that's an extra determination. It means it's 7, 8 successes in total. My God. Wow.
Yay!
That was
Science
a breakthrough and a half. Yeah, I am going to go ahead and say...
Thanks for your com badge.
I'm going to go ahead and say that, yeah, you guys have now, with that many successes, and that's across the board now on this entire project, you have now essentially created a new device that could be has the potential to be used on many different places to mimic the sound of, to mimic natural sounds in an area. Which could be helped with all sorts of ecological...
Eat your heart.
Exactly. So this is going to go on to get posted in science journals and stuff. So
it's a pity it was made for nothing at the current point in time because of the...
Well, never say never. You have successfully made it so that it can pretty much mimic the natural sound of these trees, but you've also put in the subroutines to make this thing, you know, a big loudspeaker to hurt the Ferengi with, but not hurt yourselves. So, yeah, you've done it and then some.
What awesome.
Yeah, really well done. So you've now got that. It is safe, it is secure, it's built, and it's, with that many successes, practically faultless.
Yay.
Unless you roll a 20.
And it's got a cool name.
So, Andrews and Keval rush back into camp just as Natala finishes work on setting up the phaser drill, at which point, with the storm front closing in, Commander Tavek deploys himself and his 2 ensigns to the bunker to start to look at utilizing the drill to start the excavation as soon as possible. But at the same time, everyone basically comes together to meet, to show off what you've all managed to accomplish. But also, I believe Keval and Sophia have something to report.
Yep, so there appears that the Orions are deliberately ploying with us to draw us away from the area, which suggests that they are still actively monitoring the location and maybe potentially working to ambush at some point, so we need to be on our guard.
Understood.
And perhaps we can use this com badge against them.
Aha. In which case, yes, that's a very good point. You hear.
All right, we're set up. But we got a little problem. What do you mean we've got a little problem? The Vulcan and the 2 humans have just turned up at the entrance to the bunker. You want us to go ahead with our drill, or do you want us to wait till they start so we can get it ahead of them? That is an excellent suggestion, Oban. Wait till they start their drilling, then proceed with your own. Got it, Captain.
Dun dun dun.
Okay. So that now leads to the question of where the hell are they to be drilling and where are they observing? Because the commander, who's your Bobby? Tavik.
Mm-hmm.
Stated that there was no other access points.
Indeedy. Well, the bunker entrance itself is at the extreme north of this map. I've moved the requisite tokens to there so you can see where it's at. So it all now comes down to what you want to do now.
Do we use that combat to try and triangulate where they are exactly?
Or being somewhat familiar with the kind of equipment necessary for this kind of digging, we could reasonably scan for something about it if it produces any kind of signature.
Yep, that's an idea. What do you think?
Yeah, we just.
Well, so we want to find these guys first. If they're currently watching them drill, that means they're
yeah,
swooping in
and
doing something.
I think what John was getting at there was that scanning for another drill might be a good way of finding out where they are.
All right. I was going to use the active com badge they've got a link to that we've got here.
There's that too. So, both, you know, you could combine forces. Maybe Natala use sensors and Edwards use comms. So one could be the principal, one could be the assist.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, work it out amongst yourselves how you want to do it.
I think we've got quite similar roles here, really.
Yeah.
Probably both.
Because one will be currently active. The only one will only be active once they activate their own drill, or would it?
Well, it depends. I mean, they're probably lugging quite a power source for one of these things.
True, actually.
Yeah, so if there's an impasse, then I would say the senior officer would probably be the more logical choice then to lead the effort.
Yeah.
What do you think the usual thing for sensors is control science rather than?
Yes, quite. And it would probably be control science for... although a case could be made for insight science for Edwards.
They're both the same for me.
So, you know, it's up to... I'm fine with you choosing either.
Mm. So it's 1 dice for assist, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. I didn't say what it was. 0 successes, 2 successes. You are on the money. You are picking up a power source that someone is trying their best to mask, but obviously it's difficult to mask a power source strong enough to drill through something. Obviously, there's some interference with the fact that the phaser drill is now going off at the bunker site, but you are definitely detecting a second power source quite close to them. Tracing the comm signal, Edwards can confirm that it definitely seems that the Orion team, whoever they are very, very close to the actual bunker itself. Probably off to one side, to an easily sheltered side.
Commander, Natala, I think we've got an idea of where they are.
Yeah.
Do we alert the security?
I think we've got enough to give the security team a direction.
The Ferengi, I mean, not ours.
Not at this point. We can let them draw their own conclusions by our own concerns.
Okay, so what do you want to do? When you say security team, you're referring to, what, Andrews and Thazanan?
Indeed.
Okay.
So basically, if we can point out which side of the dig site we best estimate the Orions are digging in from.
We'd have to go quietly, else the Ferengi will pick up on the fact that we're heading towards an area potentially armed.
Well, I think
not
Keval... I think Keval and Andrews have already proved they can be pretty stealthy.
Okay.
So yeah, your best guess is they're within 20 feet of the drilling of the Starfleet drilling team. Probably off to the west.
So I think as a group we should actually move to the north. Sorry, Anne, you first.
Yeah.
So I was just going to point out that we probably talk about meters, but
Oh, yeah. Well, you could mention that as you go. You managed to avoid the natives, though, and the natives didn't show any sign of following you back towards the camp. They were just kind of left wondering what that sound was and then just meandered off in a random direction. But that's always something to look out for later. In the meantime, what would you like to do? You're all going as a group towards the dig site, did you say?
I think, yeah, the group to the dig site, but then, Keval and Andrews, again, split off.
Yeah, so the rest of us are heading for the main laser, and the two of you head for the Orions. Is that a general idea?
Yep, cool. Okay, so if everybody wants to move their tokens all the way up to the mid-north, you should eventually see Commander, he's not a captain yet, Tarvek.
Is it about that distance, you mean?
So, I am up here. Up at the very, very tip-top. So this is where Tarvek's team are. So somewhere near to these guys, off to the east, or west rather, I should say. You think the interlopers might be?
Whereabouts is a big drill?
They're currently, there's a team of 3 of them handling it, and they're currently pointing it at the bunker entrance, so it's in front of these guys, basically.
Probably assist in monitoring the big drill.
Okay, then. The big drill. Nova and Bertram are there. Is Edward staying all the way down the heck there, or?
No.
Okay.
I don't know if we're going to immediately go to this place, or we're going to try and sneak up on the other group.
Or where are... So, basically, Andrews and Thazanan can bring themselves... Oop! Who are we missing? That'll be it then, won't it? Yeah, Natala, Edwards, Bertram, Nova, Thazanan and Andrews. So just guys, just drag your tokens up to the top, unless you need me to do it. It's drill time.
At the top of the. Is Nova with us?
Yeah, Nova's with you.
Okay.
It's a big map.
If you look down and right a bit, they're just there at the bottom of the steps.
All right. Oh yeah, I see it.
I start picking up the wind a bit here. Who are we missing? There's Vibers.
Always now a good time to tell them the drill also makes a great coffee.
You might need to alter it to have that happen.
Yeah, the coffee machine part you left behind, it wouldn't fit on the trailer. But I've got my coffee.
It to work off of a simple tripod mount, but the trailer is pretty functional.
I've lost Keval and Andrews' tokens. Where are you guys?
They're just to the right a bit.
Oh, there they are! Ha ha ha! I was looking everywhere but over there.
They are coming in.
Shows how sneaky we are.
Yeah! So sneaky, I lost the tokens.
That's a bonus.
Yeah.
Alright, so it's off to the immediate west within, like, what was it, 20, 25 feet? So that kind of area.
So you're saying we should be on the other side?
So I'm saying you should be on the other side, yes.
What are you talking about? We were on that side the entire time.
You were indeed so sneaky that I was led to believe you were on the other side, but it was all a cunning mind trick.
It was just Natala running around in circles doing voices.
Which we've now established she can do. Not very well, maybe, but...
Well enough to fool a
Ferengi.
potentially drunk Ferengi.
Or a very bored one. So, yeah.
Could also have been a holo projector glitch.
Honestly, Elizabeth just felt sorry and just went along with it just so she saved face.
So Andrews and Keval, you're probably going to need to surmount these steps to be able to get a bead on the Orions. But as soon as you do surmount those steps, you can definitely make out a pair of figures in a shadowed area of the ruined architecture, and it looks like they're trying to use their own drill and beaming down through a lower part of the bunker mound, for lack of a better word. So, what do you want to do?
I think the plan would be to sneak in and drop them stealthily.
Okay,
Okay. Render them unconscious rather than actually murder them.
Mm-hmm.
So no Shaun.
Keval looks almost deflated that he has to put away his Ushan Tor. I'll just cut them a little bit,
Andrew
Commander.
says that, but you know this is going to end with a mechanical fist to the face.
I was hoping a power bomb, to be honest.
Bravo's not here to deliver the Bravo bomb.
He's going to teleport him. Save Renee.
Seeing as you're not exactly looking for combat, you're looking for a quick sneak up on them and render them unconscious. So what I'm going to ask for here, rather than a series of combat encounters which could get long and messy, we're going to use your previous successes with stealth as a kind of a lead-in. So I'm going to ask both Keval and Andrews to give what's the best one? Well, we did daring and security. Daring and security sounds right to me. It's gonna be difficult. It's normally difficulty 1 to get past these guys and get on them and then lock them in a chokehold. But I'm going to spend threat to make it difficulty 3, because you're trying to sneak up on them unawares and get them in a chokehold to bring them down, and it has the capacity to go rather wrong if you get it wrong. So you can do this as a collaborative effort, Or you can do it as individuals. I think a collaborative effort makes more sense since I just put it at difficulty 3.
Either one ends in a clothesline or a choke slam.
I will take the supporting one.
It's not going to be either of those moves. It's going to be some kind of tag team move now, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
3D.
Bionic bomb, because they've both got bionics.
Yes, they are the squad bionic.
Are they the bionic commandos?
The bionic 6 -4.
Yeah, thank you.
My bionics only play a role if I headbutt him, and I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, technically my bionics don't actually aid.
Well, a metal fist would help, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm going to use potentially at another point determination then.
Mm-hmm.
Of either preservation of life or for the good of the Federation.
Yeah, preservation of life makes sense because, you know, if you don't do this exactly right, then a mishap with the drill could happen and there's other people who are in the way.
Yeah, I'm also going to potentially use my foci of advance hand-to-hand.
Keval's security protocols would certainly help here.
A peep's good that we've got 6 momentum as well. I'm going to spend a momentum.
Yeah.
I would like to spend a momentum to an extra dice.
So you've got that, and that, and that. So Keval can only roll the 1, but the focus definitely applies.
Is it 3 die then? Is it,
3 die because you added the extra 1, and using focus, determination will add its own die. You don't have to add it on top. It'll do it automatically. Wowza! And an extra success means right. So Keval and Andrew and Sophia, I'm using one's first name, and both of them managed to very sneakily get up right behind the Orions, and on the nod from Andrews, they both leap forward, wrap their arms around the necks of the Orions and pull them down in a choke, and hold on long enough for the oxygen or whatever it is that Orions have in their blood. Probably oxygen. Eventually get cut off, and they give a couple of choking, struggling sounds, but you're on them too quickly. Your locks are applied too well. They can't get out of them. They're pulled away from the drill so that the drill shuts down and doesn't get knocked or kicked by anybody. It is the perfect takedown, and done so silently that nobody probably even knows you were there. Well done.
Who needs a Vulcan neck pinch?
Exactly.
Stupid Vulcans.
So yeah, well done. You brought them down with no trouble. Sorry, Gareth, I talked over you there. No? Okay. All right, so what do you want to do with the Orions? If anything. Nothing? Okay, then I'll just assume you're bringing them back and just basically locking them up.
See what to do with them. Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
And
Alternatively,
alternatively, you could just take over their drilling operation and start and keep going in.
Now, the reason that it bears mentioning that Commander Tavik said the reason they chose the exact site they chose to drill was because it needed to be drilled out carefully. Specific rocks had to be vaporized in a specific order so it wouldn't cause a crumble. The Orions, of course, had no such compunction. So it's entirely possible that if the Orions had managed to continue and successfully complete their drilling, it would have caused for the thing to basically crumble. And that would mean that people would be trying to get into it for a lot longer. So you could certainly utilize their extra drill, but it would have to be done in a coordinated manner with the current drill that you've got on the same level as the drill that you guys are currently using. Jan.
Yeah, I don't know if the ship is, or somebody else is monitoring the activity of the drill, sort of through technical means. So it might be a good idea to keep the drill running, even if we're not really drilling anything with it.
Ooh.
In fact, yeah, that's a fair point. How much interference is the storm causing at the moment?
The wind is picking up, so communications are now getting very garbled. You can still make out most of the transmission, but you know it is one of those things with say that last bit again, kind of thing. So it wouldn't take much to scramble sensors, but obviously the Orions are probably monitoring the site from orbit. So the atmosphere is definitely going to be starting to cause them problems, certainly. In any case, are you using their drill to assist with this drill operation? Or are you just going to leave it on somewhere innocuously to give them the impression that the drill is still going on? Which one?
I think the cover story, leave it on to make them think that's what's going on, is probably best, because if not, they might come down with a bit more of a show of force.
Haven't heard from Antlers in a little while. Maybe, what do you think?
Webby, you there?
Hello, sorry. What was that?
Basically want to know what Andrew's thought is. Keep the drill running on some innocuous point so that the Orions think it's still going on, or actually use the Orions' drill to actually assist with the actual excavator drill.
I would defer to Commander Tavik's expertise in saying that they don't think it'd be safe to operate, so we can have it running, but it's not actually kind of like, yeah, it's cutting inconspicuously into
something else.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then. Everyone all right with that?
And what do you want to do with the Orions? Do you want to leave them there, or bring them in, or what?
I think we need to make out so that it looks like they're there. Can we stage it so they're propped up against the drill but unconscious?
Using a couple of twigs and vines to prop them up and make it look as if they're actually still doing it.
Weekend at Sophia's.
Considering the sheer amount of successes you garnered on that little stealth choke operation, I'm going to go with yeah.
Yeah, as far as the rest of the people know, is that, yeah, they're still standing, they're still drilling away.
So any scans from orbit will still detect a power signature and 2 Orion life signatures at the drill. So yeah, well done. I can go with that. That's too funny not to.
That's what we bought the rope for, right?
We need some sort of shock collar, so every time they wake up, they're shocked to sleep again.
You'd need to invent that, and that'll take a bit of time. In any case...
I think there might be medical equipment that more or less does that. Just kind of
it's called Dr. Bertram.
The Bertram with a taser.
Bertram just...
Like coming... What's the sparks coming from around the corner? Nothing. Zap.
Well, you know...
Found a new application for the energy moss. now it expels energy into people.
Yes, Navis.
Do you have that new inoculation to help with the digging with the trees and issues? You know, the one that makes you a bit sleepy. Friend, though.
Are you asking if I have something that can keep them unconscious?
Yes.
Potentially. Can I make something like that from the medkit, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No problem. I won't even... need to check for that. Yeah. Sorry, John.
As long as...
I would think that an anaesthetic hyperspray is one of the most common types.
Yeah. I was just saying, as long as Andrew's is okay with this, because, you know, we're all professionals, none of us would ever think to do something sort of like weird, like, and off the books without letting him know. We could get everyone into trouble.
Okay.
I'll let you go confirm that with the commander.
Yep, keeping them unconscious is no problem at all.
Okay. I guess I'll go over there and keep them sedated.
In which case, the drilling operation continues for the better part of an hour or more. The Ferengi milling around are obviously getting very bored, but they're also getting very uncomfortable because the rain is now starting to come down heavier. The lightning flashes are more regular, and the wind is definitely picking up. The storm front is not far away. However, it's no time into the... No time? Let me rephrase that. Not much time after you subdue the guards and the drilling commences in earnest, Commander Tavek reports that they've made a successful breach and entrance to the bunker can be made.
Who's got the ghost loot? Just in case.
So the question now becomes, are you going to let the Ferengi know?
They have to. But it's Commander's call.
I think it'll be pretty evident once we start scanning for initial readings, that sort of thing.
I mean, Commander Tavek says that maybe he could try pretending like he's still drilling and let you guys go in on the sly.
I think Commander Andrews.
I think it would be worthwhile is that we potentially try that.
Alright. Alright. So who have we got? We've got Nova, Edwards, and Fibers by there. And there's Natala. Bertram, Andrews. That's an error. Okay. Just gather everybody's tokens together. Whoops, I've lost a few off the edge. You're off the edge of the map, mate. Sorry?
You mispronounced it. It's, you must gather your party before venturing forth.
Yeah. You must gather your party before venturing forth. I cannot do it the same as Kevin Michael Richardson, I'm afraid. I am not a big black talented dude.
Almost like you've got no one yelling, I have the... There's literally bunny... There was the every sort of was annoying thing that you just had to wait for the guy to turn around in circles 20 times before getting in the exact position.
Was that Baldur's Gate 1?
That was Baldur's Gate 1. Okay, you eventually come down into the bunker. It's not quite as large as you imagined it would be. You do hear a low hum and the feeling of electricity in the atmosphere surrounding a large cylindrical object at the end of this hallway that you're in. As soon as you... the room is dark except for a light surrounding a circular, or rather a control panel.
Probably start scanning the floor as we go through, just in case there's any traps or anything. That and just general, this stuff is full of so much that Edwards would be just eyes popping out his head out. But this is amazing.
Yeah,
everyone
it really is.
So everyone watch out for radroaches.
On the presumption that the Ferengi are aware that we've come in and are just waiting for us to come out with good stuff, is there anything that we should be doing in here for that
Who
purpose?
brought the pattern enhancers?
Ah, yes.
I think it was Edwards.
Yes. Yes, I
Still
remember.
walking out the front door.
Yes, but that's leaving the crew down here at the mercy of the Ferengi.
Well, that depends how it
That's
happens.
easy. Oh.
Yeah, but they don't have pattern houses. We can't get them
We
out.
thus the ghost float. But
Okay, so what would you like to do?
We just have to take the
So
shiny
just
stuff.
start scanning as we're going in, and specifically looking at this thing down, but also trying to keep an eye out just any traps or anything. Because remember the last time, well, the first time we went into some ancient tech, they had that disintegration beam.
Hmm.
field. So,
Well,
Edwards is just going to start looking around.
there's certainly what looks like some kind of control panel to your immediate west. The humming of power seems to be coming definitely from the device at the very, very end. What you're getting is that there are other control panels scattered about, but a lot of them are dark. According to your tricorder readings, this thing is emitting more power than a Galaxy-class starship.
Scanning, not touching.
Scanning for any radiation or other potentially debilitating effects.
What could be reasonably
Okay.
from this?
I just want to identify that. If I need to roll a check, I do have my usual
Okay.
archaeology or ancient technology.
As soon as you step into the light, a number of view screens activate on the east and west walls. These view screens contain what appear to be readouts for various sections of the city. When the view screens activate, so does a light that can only be a red alert warning, indicating the activation of whatever dormant security system must be present. And it's at that time...
This is what I meant by as I approach scanning for anything like this.
With a hum and a crackle, several energy conduits activate.
Death ray.
Not necessarily, but yes.
So, you definitely have a control panel by here. So that's where I left my Sparky Zappers. The view screens appear to be what readouts for various sections of a city. Although I think I already read that bit.
Yeah, just what can I tell about the control panel from the scans?
Well, most of the remaining panels on the readouts are dark, but the panels activate at some kind of anti-intruder system. But the power signature at the that seems to be emanating from that large, what looks like power plant, but it seems that there's a singular device inside of it that's generating the power. But if you wanted to get at it, you would have to make your way past these security features and get at the actual core access control panel, which is further to your north, in order to disengage it from its casing.
Is there a possibility of finding another way through, say, vents and ducts and things that Nova could use to get over there?
Ooh. I'm gonna go with, if Nova wants to have a look, insight and security.
I'll use my focus of infiltration as well.
Yep, sure.
Might as well burn a momentum as well, just because it's there.
Yep, okay, no problem. Add an extra dice. Four successes, so that was definitely over and above. Okay. Yeah, you definitely find what look like access, well, the equivalent of Jeffrey's tubes, access ducts. You reckon, since you're so skilled at it, you could probably make your way to the other side. If you could get to that power control panel over there, you might be able to actually deactivate the power to the security system. You might need some assistance from someone else on the other.
Is it difficult to take someone?
No, Nova's more used to squeezing into tight places, so but she could definitely take someone to assist if she really wanted to. Yeah, absolutely. Who would be her favourite?
Yep, that was the idea. I was intending to basically scan your route, determine if there were any traps in your way, that kind of thing.
So, yep. Once you get to the opposite side, you might need a bit of additional help from someone operating the other control panel to help shut the defense system down, but other than that, someone wants to try and make their way through. This is going to be fitness and security, I think, to squeeze through these ducts. If Natala wants to assist by trying to scan ahead for routes, then yeah, control plus... I think control plus security actually would be more like it. But sensor operations from the tricorder definitely help as a focus. So this is going to be a combined effort, so Natala can be assisting, Nova doing the primary. Fitness and security. Ooh, okay. Alrighty. Nova gets through a couple of ducts. Excuse me. Nova gets through a couple of ducts. But when she gets to the end of it, there's been an electrical fault. Some of the wires have corroded, and the access panel that allows a egress from the tunnel is now wired and sparking with electricity. You're gonna have to find some way of getting past that to get out of here, unless someone else manages to find a way of interrupting the power.
Want to risk any faults to your control panel, Edward's fibers, because you're probably going to need that after Nova gets through. Any other ideas for how to
Oops.
cause a discharge somewhere else?
I just sort of scan to understand how this panel is working, without actually understanding the flows of energy and also how the powers flow through this place. We can't really do anything.
Try to avoid messing around with that panel too much, because it looks like it might be important in a moment.
So the panel that Edwards has got in front of him appears to be more like a security readout, whereas the control panel all the way up north, near to where Nova now is, looks like it's been it's the primary power control system.
So wait, you said security readout, so potentially it's hooked up to all. So it's hooked up to all the security measures, correct?
Potentially.
Would it be able? So would it have a potential plan of the actual security? But if it's able to keep track of what things turn on and everything, then surely you'll be able to see where it's connected into the system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'd just like to identify that so we can find out where the actual wires and relays that are actually powering.
This is going to be an insight plus engineering task with a difficulty of 3, since these systems and controls have obviously been designed with the reptilian Alphans in mind.
I'd ask for aid from Vibers, being an experienced engineer, and probably using focus ancient technologies.
Okay.
Keval might also be useful as a securities expert.
True, actually, yes, he'd be able to identify.
I'm fine with that. So, So Edward's leading, Vibers and Keval assisting.
I'd like to nab a momentum as well.
So Keval could probably give me an insight and security, and Vibers insight and engineering. And
only one.
So you need 2 more successes.
Can I get my focus?
Sure.
Go on, one more.
1 more is what you need. Are we going to have the usual multi-success? Oh, right, not quite this time. So, Nova, the electrical sparking looks like it's starting to get the wire is loose, and it looks like it might snap any minute. And if it does, it's going to be swinging free with the potential of either catching yourself or electrifying the entire conduit.
Wait, I spent moment, didn't I? So I'll use another challenge dice.
Okay, yep. All right, let's see if he can get you out of this thing.
Something about that using Fixer Upper.
Oh, in effect.
I do believe that gives you another threat. Need to think.
Which makes sense because of the swinging wire.
Is it swinging enough that I can leap up and grab it?
It would be a big timing issue. It would be a fitness and security to try and get the timing of that down.
Roll of the challenge.
Alternatively, a scientific solution, if you don't mind being a bit toasty, you could warm the metal up around you with a phaser so that it's less conductive.
Ooh, either or.
What if we tried to reroute some of the power of some of these, try and focus them all through one and overload it? Would that be too damaging?
Maybe. What was it you just said, Shaun?
I think Nova would be more inclined to reach up and grab it.
Spur of the moment type thing.
So I think she's gonna go for it.
I've got Fixer Upper as a value, so I'm thinking I could use that as going. This is horribly broken. We can patch around it.
I'm willing to let you lead on that, and I'll be the assist.
And
well, let's
on that and then...
let's first see how Nova does trying to get hold of the wire. And then we'll see how you guys do against rerouting the power.
Bertram might have something to do shortly.
Yes,
Yeah,
Bertram might very well have something to do.
Bertram does have his medikit out ready.
So first things first, Nova, I think it was fitness and security to try and see if you can grab that thing. I'm going to make this difficulty... I'm going to make this difficulty 2.
Burning the momentum for an extra dice. Can I include acrobatic rolling? So she's literally just throwing herself at this thing.
Yeah, alright. Yeah. Using her natural acrobatic inclination towards things. Yeah, I'm good with that. Oh no! She reaches for it, she misses, in which case I'm gonna roll. You need to... No. I'm gonna spend a threat and make that even worse. And I rolled I rolled a 10! Oh, so Nova takes 10 stress as she gets electrified. She's not unconscious, but she darned well wishes she was. As she grabs it, but unfortunately catches it as the wire makes contact.
A little bit electrified.
Once per mission, whenever the character would suffer damage, halve the amount. Hey, nice. So again,
first time she's electrocuting herself.
Licks the wire. No, dead. Live. Meanwhile, let's get the others to do their thing with rewiring the power systems. So again, insight and engineering, or daring and engineering, whichever one you think is appropriate. If someone wants to get in and help, maybe Andrews.
So I'm assisting as well. So it's like I'm letting Vibers take this one.
Andrews could assist by, basically being a commanding officer and dictating what needs to happen, who does what first in order to get things off safely and successfully. While I spend another threat to make this harder to do. Up to Webby if he wants to or not. Either way, Davis, do your thing.
I'm on mute, this doesn't work. Right, if I'm using a value, what does that do?
If you're choosing to use a value, that means you're spending a point of determination. If you're spending a point of determination, you're essentially buying a dice that's pre-rolled a 1 and therefore gained you 2 successes. And you also have to check the box that you're using determination when you do your dice roll.
That should do that.
5 successes with 7 in total. Oh, you get all that
7
momentum back.
total.
Which means you successfully reroute the power. Meaning that Nova can be got at.
Okay.
Bertram, I think
Bertram
that
is-
screams the doctor's call for office.
Yeah, Bertram is heading up to Nova. I assume I can see where Nova is.
Well, Nova kind of staggers a little baked
Okay.
out of the ductwork.
I say while he's doing that, I said now that this panel is working a bit more basic, just trying to download as much information as he can.
Okay. So anyone else going with Bertram up to that, the area next to the power control panel?
Does it look like it's still useful to be where I am?
I'm going to stay here as a backup, just in case you're stuck in there. But the rest of you should be safe to go with. And Natala cover this end.
What are Thazanan and Andrews doing then in this case?
I think I'll be checking that nobody is sneaking up behind us.
Okay. What about Andrews? Webby?
Similar. I think if we prep the anti-Ferengi devices, or the
Okay.
anti-Ferengi device.
Ghost flute, call it by its real name.
Yeah, the ghost flute.
Pointing it at the doorway.
Branding, branding, branding.
Okay, so I'm shocked you got so.
Well,
Nova and Bertram starts seeing to Nova, and yes, she's scorched, but she's quite tough. She took that and is still not dead, and seems more concerned with the fact that there's a funky control panel that she could fiddle with. So Bertram's finding it a little interesting trying to get Nova to focus on staying still so we can examine her. The
Bertram
others... Go on.
If needed, Bertram will actually sort of like press the whole medical superior thing. You will stay still and have this examination.
Okay.
There should probably be 3 of us up there. Does one of you want to take over this screen?
Okay, Natala's making her way up there.
So I'm downloading from this one, so it'd be Vibers if you want to use the other one.
It's at that point that you hear an all too uncomfortable sound of Ferengi transporter signals. You hear the unmistakable sounds of a Ferengi transporter. Looking over at the source of the incoming transporter's sound, you see Daemon Storbo arrive with several armed members of a security detail. Upon his arrival, Storbo immediately turns to your group and says,
Thank you for doing all the heavy lifting. I'll make sure to tell my superiors how helpful the Federation was in our retrieval of this device. I am certain it will fetch a heavy price.
He then lets out a low, guttural laugh.
It's too bad for you that you will yourselves become a curiosity for future archaeologists.
And suddenly, the distinctive sounds of an Orion transporter are heard.
And their pattern enhancers.
As you turn to the source, you see the Orion captain, flanked by what appear to be 4 armed soldiers, materializing between the southern group and the Ferengi. And that is where we will leave tonight. Amongst all the other electricity jokes.
I can easily see Edward just pressing the button and the rest of us going, no! As he just murders a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Is that the temptation is just there as like...
The argument's there that if no one can survive it, they can, right?
We are not.
We could thin down the voltage. It's done.
Right, well, yes. So, we found our way down to the mysterious power emanation, but it seems that the Orions and the Ferengi were very intent on it, and now we have a very interesting situation developing. And sadly, because certain members of our troop will not be about next week due to other commitments, which is fine. Great Ferengi voice. Thank you very much, Ars Animus. The key is sticking your bottom jaw out and speaking with your teeth. I have the guys who record Shield of Tomorrow to thank for that. Their GM showed me how to do a very good Ferengi. So, yeah, thanks for that. But, yes, unfortunately we have no show next week because various peeps are away. So, the continuation of this episode will have to wait until 2 weeks' time, I'm afraid.
And it's the greatest Star Trek cliffhanger since Best of Both Worlds.
As a end of season cliffhanger.
Seeing as we're only in the 8th episode, technically, it's a Netflix level season.
It would be the Super Bowl cliffhanger.
Although we could end it on Sophia go, Mr. Edwards, fire, dun 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 dun.
I don't think we've quite earned the Best of Both Worlds level of it yet.
In England, it was the thing where Star Trek would suddenly go off television for 6 weeks for Wimbledon.
Yes, that was most irksome.
Yeah.
That was the first time I actually, watching Star Trek, the episode ended, I saw To Be Continued, and I fell onto my knees off the chair I was sitting in and just held my hands aloft, I'm not joking, and screamed.
I think I remember that year, yeah.
That was a horrible year. It was off for 6 months, wasn't it?
It was a long time.
It was ages before we got to see the climax of, well, the continuation of Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah. And see, if it just chucked the energy-eating moss onto the Borg ship, then it would have all been solved without all those casualties.
And unfortunately, yes, our game is now a casualty of people having actual things to do, which is, well, not me, but other people. However, thanks guys for coming along. I hope you all enjoyed that. That was pretty cool. That was you guys just ruled that. The sneaking, the choking out on Orion, and it was also a great laugh as to how those complications just kept on coming in. I mean, I know you guys wanted a bit more of a challenge, but you don't have to do that to yourselves.
Would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for pesky tracker.
I mean, can we pull up the how often each number's been rolled in a session?
I'd have to go back and work it out, and well, color me curious now. In any case,
I think I've rolled about 5-6 complications.
I think you have. You've been possibly the one who's rolled the most complications so far of everybody. So yeah, welcome to the team.
So far, it's been every odd episode. So we'll see if I do right next time, then the one after that.
There's some discussion that we might do a filler of some kind next week, maybe with just doing 4 of us being idiots playing something. I don't know. We'll see. But sadly, you'll not get the next part of the episode until 2 weeks' time. So there we go. So I hope you all stay tuned. Thank you very much for tuning in if you did. And we will see you in 2 weeks' time to conclude this cliffhanger. In the meantime, live long and prosper. And yeah, Lower Deck episode. Wouldn't that be something? We had discussed that. We'll have to I'll have to tinker with something. Thank you, Ars Animus. That was very nice. We'll see you all when we see you all. And hailing frequencies closed. Good night.